Hello and welcome to this week's pet pairing. I'm going to immediately start doing my makeup because I want to, chop, get things done and then get going to work because it's been a busy time over here. Okay. Taking my eyeshadow primer, this is a Depotted Urban Decay eyeshadow primer potion. I had all the best intentions to film a bit more content in the past week, but between busy weekends and very busy weeks, I just didn't get around to it, and I thought maybe it's a good idea to just give you a heads up that I think the month of September in particular will be a little bit more difficult for me to create content because I will be away a few times for work and for a non-insignificant amount of time. In about a week from now I'm going to Dublin because we have this congress that is specific to our field of research that happens every 2 years, and this year it's going to be in Dublin, and that congress is more or less like a whole work week, so I will be away for a whole 5 days. For my foundation, I'm going to do my usual mix as of late, the Hourglass Liquid Vanish in the shade Buff and the MAC Face and Body in the shade NC25. And as much as, I would like for this to not have influence on how much I can film, unfortunately it's, I have to prepare things for that congress, like we all have to prepare either an actual PowerPoint presentation or a poster presentation, which is what I've been busy with, and that always takes up more time than you think, so everyone is, stressed and panicked trying to get things done last minute. But even though this congress is causing a healthy amount of stress for all of us because we have to prepare for it, I think we're all really excited because it is actually a really fun congress. Like I said, it is within my field of research, so it is the congress to be at and to see what's new, what's up, what people have been up to in the past 2 years, to reconnect. It's a little bit like a, family coming back together every 2 years because we're a fairly small community in comparison. Like, other fields of research are a lot bigger and the congresses are so much, there's like the amount of people that come to the congress that I go to is like between 400 and 500, which is nothing compared to, for example, other, especially like, for example, cancer research, where you can have congresses that literally host upwards of 10,000 or 15,000 people. So that's wild. I've been to one of those as well many years ago, and that's a completely different experience. So like I said, because we're a small community, everybody kind of knows each other. It's always like, getting back together with friends, catching up in real life, because we do see each other a lot online. Like, we collaborate, so we meet a lot via Zoom or Teams often, but it's always so much nicer to see people in person and, chat with people, meet someone new. I really enjoyed the congress last time. I don't know whether some of you will remember because I did talk about it the last time I was there. That was 2 years ago in Köln. It's always sometime in the beginning of September or October. So last time when I got back from Köln, I told you how much I had enjoyed the actual congress. And not only is the congress treat, the party, like the dinner, the gala dinner and the party they organize is a ball. Last time I had an absolute blast. I hadn't, danced and partied out like that in a really long time before that congress. Unfortunately, shortly after I came back from that congress, I broke my foot, so I kind of associate now, how happy I was and how much I was like still riding the high of that congress when I got back. And literally a few days after that, I had my accident with my bike and I fell and I broke my foot. But anyway, I'm going to set with my beloved Charlotte Tilbury powder. Speaking of powder, a few of you, and of course our favorite enabler here, Alicia Archer, who posted her video on this powder yesterday, have now finally convinced me that I definitely should try the new Prada powder. I very enthusiastically went on the website as soon as I chatted with a few of you in the comments on my last video, only to find out that, to my utter disappointment, it seems like this product has not really been released in Europe yet. Not the powder and also not the primer. I'm not really interested in the primer. I'm only interested in the powder and potentially scoring another one of their quads because I just love the formula of those eyeshadow palettes so much. Oh, and maybe I'm going to try one of the balms or get another one of those like soft matte formulas from the lipstick. The list is just getting longer by the minute. I'm going to do my brows real quick with the Too Faced Laminating Brow Wax. So I'm very excited to try this powder. I will get it as soon as it arrives in Europe, but from what I can tell, it's not been released anywhere in Europe because I thought, okay, probably it's like late on the website that I can shop from. which, you know, has the extension for the Netherlands, but last time I want to say they shipped the products from Italy. So I do think the European, it's just like the European website which ships to different countries. But then I also went and checked on Selfridges, and I could not find it on Selfridges either. So I do really think that the powder just has not been released. This collection just has not been released in Europe yet, which is, you know, it's fine. I will wait a little bit. I think finally the new Chanel blushes are coming this way. The Dior contour stick's been around for a while, but I refuse to buy it from the Dior website because I wanted to buy it on sale from one of the retail shops. Same for the Chanel blushes, by the way. And I think the longer they take to arrive, the less interested I will be in them. I think the powder from Prada is definitely gonna come home with me because I will be panning a powder in the upcoming weeks. And I've developed a very soft spot for Prada's makeup, as I've indicated a couple of times on this channel over the past year. So if there is, you know, a makeup, like luxury makeup line that I'm really interested in and following with, you know, great excitement, it is Prada Beauty. They don't release too much, which is really good. I wish they would release a few more of those delicious palettes though, the eyeshadow palettes, because they haven't really released anything new since the first launch a year ago. You know, those 6 original palettes that were released, beautiful, you know, very interesting curated color story. So I can imagine they want to like keep the collection small, but, you know, quality over quantity. I get that, but, you know, it would be nice if every now and then they release something new, like, I don't know, for a holiday collection or for spring, or, you know, every now and then it wouldn't hurt for them to release a new color story. I would be really down for that. For my bronzer today, I'm going to take Pat McGrath Labs Bronze Mahogany, which is the deepest shade in the range, which works really well for me in the like summer months when I have a little bit of a tan, as a neutral toned, like slightly cooler toned bronzer, because it has a beautiful like reddish purplish undertone to it. So it works really well as a non-warm bronzer on somewhat deeper skin. And I've really been enjoying it since I came back from holidays, because really now is the time that I can use this and go ham. Because when I'm really pale, I have to be very careful with this powder because it's obviously not meant for my skin tone. Anyway, so besides the Congress in Dublin, after I returned from that Congress, literally I want to say not even 2 weeks after that, I am going for a few days to Paris because I'm part of a consortium and we have these yearly meetings. So last year I was in Copenhagen for a few days for the kickoff of that consortium, and this year we have the first like real yearly update meeting, which is going to be in Paris, because the woman who is in charge of the consortium is from an institute in Paris. She's lovely. I might have gone a little bit ham on this side, so I'm just going to use my smooth buffer from Sonia to buff everything nicely here. For blush today, I'm going to take one of my Gucci blushes. This is in the shade Warm Berry, a beautiful autumnal blush. I'm like slowly preparing for the autumn months. It's still nice and summery outside. At least we've been enjoying quite nice weather in the last couple of weeks, and I really hope the weather persists throughout September and at least mid of October, so that we can, you know, enjoy a bit of sunlight before the darkness sets upon us in October, like late October, November, and will persist probably until next year in June. To highlight, I'm going to grab this trio from Pat, and I'm basically going to go just a little bit into this shade and mostly concentrate on the pink shade, because the look that we're going for today is going to have a bit more of like pinkish purplish hues to it. So I kind of want to keep it in the more pink, you know, realm, even when it comes to the cheeks, because, you know, I like to be coordinated like that. Anyway, what other interesting topics can we... Oh, Jesus, I'm such a dumbo. I forgot once again to put on my concealer. Alright, you guys, taking a little step back, and I'm going to apply my concealer before we proceed with the rest of the makeup. I might have to reapply a little bit of that highlighter. Gosh, I'm so distracted. Anyway, let's talk about TV shows. We haven't really talked about TV shows in a while, and I do have some updates. So first and foremost, let's talk about the show that I surprisingly was a little bit disappointed by, I will be completely honest. So I think we've talked about The Bear, and I mentioned that I really enjoyed the first 2 seasons that I watched. It's the kind of show that I can't really binge through because it gives me a little bit of, you know, increased anxiety feelings because it's so, like, stress-inducing, let's be honest. But I did really enjoy the first 2 seasons. I thought it was so different, so well acted, such a, like, different setup, and, you know, I enjoy things pertaining to food, so I really enjoyed the first 2 seasons. So I was kind of looking forward to season 3, and to my disappointment, I have to be honest, I was a little bit bored by this season. Have you guys watched the latest season of The Bear? What did you think about it? I mean, it had all the elements of the first 2 seasons, but I'm sort of getting the feeling that what worked in seasons 1 and 2 is sort of starting to get a little bit repetitive now. Like this season, the past season, I feel like there were 10 episodes and basically almost nothing happened. There was just sort of like close-ups of people's faces, a lot of flashbacks to the past, a lot of, you know, yelling at each other, the standard for this show, but I just feel like the story wasn't progressing, the characters didn't really make much, there was no character development this season, so I found myself a little bit bored, and I'm very curious if you guys have watched the show, what did you think about it? Because it's a bummer, it started off so strong, and of course it's been already 2 seasons. I'm just going to apply a tiny bit more highlighter here, probably I don't need it, but I always over apply my highlighter because I love highlighter. So anyway, I'm curious if anyone has watched the show, like the latest season of the show, what did you think about it? I'm going to set the powder makeup with a little bit of Fix Plus on my Real Techniques sponge here. Another show that I actually watched quite a while ago, but I totally forgot to talk to you about, is Eric. It is a show that I watched on Netflix. I think it's a Netflix original with Benedict Cumberbatch. And again, it's one of those shows that will not give you like all the happy feels because it's a... it's a difficult story to describe. It's like a sort of fantasy crime drama sort of show. It's very difficult to put in a specific box in terms of a genre, but I found it very enjoyable. It did take me a bit to go through it because, like I said, it's not a happy fun time story. Alright, now that you're nicely zoomed in, we can get started on the eye look. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab Bronze Ecstasy, which is one of the queens that was released for holiday last year. We're going to use 2 of those, as you've already seen on the thumbnail. And I'm actually going to grab, maybe I should show you first. I'm going to grab this shade here, the taupey brownie shade, and apply that all over my crease and a little bit here in the outer corner, and I think I might intensify the outer corner and just here in the roots of my lashes with this sort of like deeper, more like plummy brown shade before we go with a metallic shade. So Eric is about, first of all, it stars Benedict Cumberbatch, and I have to give props to Benedict Cumberbatch because at some point I realized that he was doing such a great job with his character that I totally forgot that it's Benedict Cumberbatch on the screen. He was doing such a fantastic job. His character was so different from many other things we've seen him do, you know, and especially the roles that he's most associated with, such as Sherlock and Doctor Strange within the Marvel Universe movies. So different that I completely forgot that it is Benedict Cumberbatch on the screen. So the story is set in the, I want to say 70s, 80s, I already forgot. I'm the worst, you guys. I watched something and then 3 weeks later I already forgot like 90% of the details. But anyway, I want to say it's set somewhere in the 80s, late 70s, 80s, something like that. And it is about a family that, you know, seems to be struggling because the husband is a, you know, he does this puppeteer show on TV. And he has a bit of a drinking problem. He seems to be wildly unhappy, and it all seems to, you know, stem from a very dysfunctional family. He comes from a very wealthy family, but clearly he was not very loved when he was growing up. And he and his wife seem to have problems. We catch up on that quite quickly as the story progresses, and they share a son. And the son basically goes to school one day and he disappears. And that is sort of where the story goes from there. And it is about the desperate search of this dad for his son, which straddles the line between reality and fantasy really well, and it just touches on so many different, you know, topics, and it's just such a good show. I really enjoyed it. Like I said, not a happy fun time story. I don't want to like spoil anything, but if you're someone who really cannot handle, you know, very sad stories, don't be worried. You will be able to handle this, so go ahead and watch it. It is a really good show. I really enjoyed it. By the way, I wanted to address something real quick here because I received some comments on my last video when we talked about my new Lancome queen, and some of you asked how, you know, these like Lancome mats compare to the mats in the queens from Pat McGrath Labs. And I will say this, they both have this element when they are not really traditional metallic eyeshadows, because as you will see also with the pans here from Pat, they are not in metal pans. You know, none of these eyeshadows are in metal pans. They're somehow poured here into the pan and processed in this way. So these have that very same like silky feeling. They apply also very beautifully on the lids. In that sense, they're very flattering, just as the Lancome eyeshadows. The difference is that these are a little bit more powdery. So the shadows from Lancome feel more like creams, whereas these, they also feel a bit like a cream to powder formula, but they're more on the powder side than they really are on the cream side. Now I'm going to go into the deeper plummy brown shade, and I'm going to concentrate that more here in the very outer edge of the eye. And I'm also going to run just a tiny bit here closer to the lashes to create a little bit more of definition there. I'm using a somewhat smaller, you know, crease blending brush for this. And then I will use the bigger brush again to blend everything together with the crease shade. And the latest show that I finished watching, which I can't say was a disappointment, because honestly after seasons 1, 2 and 3 we sort of knew what we were going to get, but I watched the newest, well, not really the newest installment, because I only saw the first part. They've only released the first part, and by now you've probably guessed we're talking about Emily in Paris. Dear Lord, I do not know what's happening with this show. Okay, it started off as, you know, and obviously it never made claims to be like a deep, serious story. Already from season 1 we knew that we were getting, you know, a bit of a silly story, but I feel like they took silly and cranked it up a lot more, like several notches, since season 1, 2 and 3 were released. Like this latest season almost feels like nobody in that show even behaves like a believable human anymore. By the way, I'm now going to just mix these two shades a little bit on this same brush, and probably not the best idea to use such a huge brush, but I'm too lazy to grab a smaller one. I'm going to run this also on my lower lashes, and then we can proceed to the metallic shade. So yeah, I watched the few episodes that were released from season 4 of Emily in Paris, and I'll be honest with you, I was not super whelmed. I thought they just made the show so much sillier than it was to begin with, and I can hardly take anything that they say or do seriously. I mean, it's fun to see how they dress and everything, and some of the characters are still fun and enjoyable to watch, but most of them have become like real caricatures at this point. So I'm not really sure where they're going with this. And also, so Ashley Park's character Mindy and her band have been selected to represent France for Eurovision, and I was like, can you imagine the country of France, which is so patriotic, not choosing a French person and possibly not even a song in French to represent at Eurovision? I mean, I know it's such a teeny tiny petty detail to get like worked up about, but I'm like, not a chance, not a single chance that in reality these people would ever be selected to represent the country in Eurovision. And this whole thing with like, oh, we don't have really money for you, you will have to arrange the video and pay for it yourself. I don't think that's how Eurovision works, but never mind. I am loving these eyeshadows. I am so looking forward to Pat's holiday collection, you know, teases, because it should start happening really soon now, and I am keeping all of my fingers and toes crossed that it's going to be something good. Taking the NYX glitter glue and going to apply that all over my lids, like all over my moving lid where I want to apply the next shade. So have any of you guys watched any of these shows, and what do you think about them? I think out of the 3 that I mentioned so far, I'd recommend Eric the most. It's only 1 season. It's like a little like mini series, like a story contained within 1 season. There will not be any extensions to this. I would recommend watching like season 2, like seasons 1 and 2 of The Bear, and you can make up your own mind about season 3. Honestly, maybe you're really going to enjoy it. By the way, now I'm going to go into another one of the holiday queens from last year. This one is in the shade Lunar Nightshade, and I'm going to take this gorgeous cooler toned pink over here, and I'm going to apply that on my lids, more like a pink champagne shade. Really, really stunning. I really enjoy this eyeshadow so much. It is also really impactful, and if you're not careful, it may create a little bit of extra texture on your lids. So be warned that you have to apply a very tiny bit of this eyeshadow. And we are going to do a little bit of a topper moment in a second, but before we go into the topper, I'm just going to clean off this small crease brush and take the champagne shade that is in this squint to apply here in my inner corners. Are you guys hoping for more of these queens? I mean, we're all secretly hoping that there will be a glorious mothership coming our way for the holiday season, but I really wouldn't mind to get a few more of these queens. I think I have... Do I have all of the queens that have been... I think I might have at this point all of the queens that have been released between the original first 2, the Star Wars collection, and the collection from last year. I think I have all of them, and I love and enjoy all of them. I think it's one of my favorite things that Pat has done in the last couple of years. Alright, now finally for our topper moment, I'm going to take Mothership 9 Huetopian Dream. And I'm thinking, since I'm wearing this really beautiful blue t-shirt from Uniqlo, that we can go into this topper, but like the absolute tiniest bit, and apply a little bit here over top of that pink shade from Lunar Nightshade. So I'm going to take a little bit of that topper, and I'm going to work that very gently together with the shade from Lunar Nightshade. Oh, that is very pretty. And obviously, the more you apply, the more you're actually going to see this shade, and you're going to lose the shade from Lunar Nightshade. So if you want to recreate this look, I would advise you to work with very small increments and just like work the 2 eyeshadows with each other on your lids using your fingers. I don't know why I'm continuing to hold the heavy Mothership, so that you don't really lose the shade that we applied underneath. So just the tiniest bit of this shade that I forgot the name of. It is something Astral Amethyst Moon is the name of this blue purpley duochrome. Super pretty, love it. This is going to look absolutely mesmerizing under artificial lighting. And I feel like for this look we definitely need to do sparkle moment. Oh my gosh, what did I tell you? This is going to look so pretty and dimensional under artificial lighting. I can see it in the mirror here, and it is beyond magical. It is so pretty. I absolutely love how this look turned out. I actually recalled doing something similar a couple of months ago, and I recalled also pairing it with a blush from Lisa Eldridge. So that is also the lipstick that I'm wearing today. I think this lipstick fits so well with this eye look, although something like Muse would have also worked really well, depending on, you know, if you want a somewhat deeper nude or you want a somewhat lighter nude. I think both of them would work really, really well. I really love how this look turned out. I really enjoyed catching up with you and doing a pet pairing because it had been a while. I hope that you enjoyed it too. Do let me know what you thought about this look. I will try my best to have at least 2 more videos before I take off for Dublin, but I don't want to like make any empty promises. So I will say this, I will do my best to have at least 2 more videos, and we see what happens. As usual, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!